One dad's all-out fight for son after mom abducted him to China. Brian met with his son Alex, now 5, who was taken to China by his mom almost a year ago. It's been nearly a year since Brian made a Utah information technology worker and former U.S. Marine waved goodbye to his son Alex at the airport. The boy, then 4, was on his way to China with his mother, Maid's ex-wife, Yuna, to visit family in his mom's homeland. They were due to return in 45 days, but never made it back. Maid knew right then that his biggest fear had come true. Yuna had successfully carried out an international parental abduction. I took them to the airport, and I feel like a complete buffoon for letting that happen. Maid 34 tells Yahoo Parenting, his voice thick with guilt. She was much more convinced than I gave her credit for. Thus began Maid's new reality, spending every bit of energy on trying to bring his son back home from Dalian, Yuna's hometown, where the two have been living with her parents since May 2014. It's been a frustrating, labyrinthine, upsetting fight, and has so far involved the U.S. State Department, the FBI, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, the Chinese Center Authority, assorted lawyers, and a Netherlands-based mediation firm, all to no avail. Matt's effort to have put him into serve Tibet, as he already spent more than 50,000 fighting for Alex's returns, in addition to about 58,000 for his divorce, wiping out his retirement account. Now he's launched an online crowd rise campaign, hoping to raise enough money to continue his legal battle. But the emotional part has been the roughest, partially since Maid has seen Alex just briefly during this whole time for a few days in October, when he went to see his son for what's been their own visits since Yuna, known in the US as Nina, took him to China. I hugged him before I left. I was holding him in my arms and saying goodbye, Maid recalls. It was the most stressful, difficult thing I ever had to do in my life. I feel like an idiot, like I let her play me. About now, living without Alex has affected his existence, he says. This impacts me every single day. Alex met just 4 days before he was taken to China. Knowing exactly where his son is and not being able to do anything about it has been partially difficult. Sometimes Maid says Yuna allows him to Skype with Alex. I tell him I love him, I miss him, that I hope he can come soon, Maid says. Adding that Alex no longer speaks English, and it appears to only be interested in watching TV and playing games on his iPad. Even when they are on a Skype call together, he worries about how Yuna has explained his absence to Alex, and about how he doesn't seem to be attending school. Yuna did not respond to an email from Yahoo Parenting request her side of the story. It's awful. This poor little kid, Jill Cole, Maid's Utah-based divorce attorney tells Yahoo Parenting. She explained that while allowing Yuna to travel to China with her son was stipulation that they eventually agreed to in the divorce agreement, it was one she and Maid had great reservations about. This was definitely a big fear of his, but his ex-wife wasn't going to stop fighting for it. So it was either we go to trial fighting it all the way for 25,000 or come up with something we felt was safe enough. So they put safeguards in peace. Koyo explains, which includes having Yuna sign notarized statements saying that Alex was a U.S. citizen and that he was to be raised in Utah, requiring that she purchase a round-trip ticket for their travel. Having her put up the title of her car as collateral, and also required that Alex to temporary visa which would expire, which it has. Now she says, "My client has spent so much money and he has tried everything. Everyone has that hanging." The crux of the problem with getting help from official in this case is the involvement of China, which is not a party to the huge abduction convention, a treaty that many countries have joined in order to provide a shared civil remedy among parenting countries to work toward the best interests of an abducted child. Brian mealed with Yuna and Alex before the divorce. Unfortunately for some of the non-huge countries, there may be some challenges and difficulties. Maroon Heat, a supervisor in Missing Children Division of the National Center of Missing Exploited Children, tells Yahoo Parenting. "One problem," she says, "is that those countries, including China, won't recognize you as custody holders." Other challenges: filing international abduction charges against Yuna with the Justice Department could potentially force her into hiding. Mead says he was advised, while enforcing would be difficult since there is no extradition treaty between the US and China. But all cases vary widely, she says, and even when they seem hopeless, things can turn on a dime. "I've seen situations in which it seems nothing can be done, but things change day to day," she says. "The parent may want to negotiate, the parent may want to come back, the parent may want to travel." In March, the FBI was able to stop an attempted parental abduction to China when the dad in US alerted authorities that his wife has just boarded an airplane to China with their 4-year-old son. He had been alerted via emails by his wife. The plane was turned around 4 hours into its journey from Washington, D.C., and the boy's mother was arrested. She now faced up to 3 years in prison. That father doesn't know how lucky he was, Matt says. Like the parents in that third kidnapping case, Matt and his ex-wife have joined legal custody of their children. But now he and Koyo have submitted a petition of modify that decision that have Yuna served with that petition. They've had to go through the Chinese Center Authority and are prepared for it to take up to 9 months. If Yuna doesn't respond within the required 20 days, Nit can get a sole custody order, but China may or may not accept it. Met Yuna in 2003 in Tokyo, where he was on vacation while was stationed in the Marine Corps in Okinawa, and Yuna, a Chinese national, was attending college on a student visa. The two became a couple, and Matt got a job at a naval base off the coast of Tokyo. They eventually married, having Alex on U.S. military property, making him an American citizen. In 2009, the family relocated to Utah when Mid found an IT job there in 2012. From there, the situation began to devolve. There were disagreements about how to raise Alex, partially around medical issues and Yuna's belief that their sons need a battery of tests and China's herbal treatments. She was like hypochondriacs, but for him, medics explained. He filed for divorce, as well as the police reported that an order of protection when he saw Yuna try to stab him. Later, after they were separated, local police charged her for children neglect after a neighbor reported Alex walking alone in a busy street while Yuna was out grocery shopping. Med provide Yahoo Parenting with documents relating to each incident. Med said that once Yuna had gone to China, she told him the children neglect charges made her afraid to come back to US. He convinced police to drop the charge, but Yuna remains where she was. That's when I realized it doesn't matter what I say or do, says Med, who is not willing to move to China. She's only convinced with what's best for her, not our son. These days he's moving forward as best as he can, but miss the time he spent with Alex. We play Legos and Hot Wheels and go to playgrounds and the museums, Matt says. Every Saturday was our day. Now the dad finds weekends partially lonely, especially if he stays at home, where Alex's room is set up and waiting for him. And while steel box Christmas presents for his son sits in the basement. I will never give up this fight, he says.